Hi, I'm Laurie Battaglia, CEO of Aligned at Work in Scottsdale, Arizona. After a 37-year career in banking, I decided to launch my own company about 5 years ago to bring the work that I was doing in corporations out to the rest of the world. And my time managing teams was such a formative time in my life and career. So many things that I learned along the way. And here's the funny thing, you're never done with leadership. As I stepped out on my own and I began to assemble a team of other contractors and vendors that I would pull in as needed, I found that I needed to lead in a different way, more intentional, more obvious about the caring that I do with people, and more obvious about the outcomes that I was expecting than when I was in the office. Now, you may have found that your world changed dramatically mid-March, or maybe it didn't. My guess is that it did, and we can't really go back. I'm here to start talking about leadership and to introduce a series of videos over the coming weeks that will dive into different aspects of what's going on in our world today and how we need to respond as leaders. So let me share my screen for a minute here. I'll bet that back in March, your world suddenly changed and began to look like this. So that's a colleague up there in the left-hand corner. And although he has always brought his kids into the meeting, not everyone did. And yet now that we're in work from home mode, oh my gosh, our kids, our dogs, our cats, our partners, our unmade beds, everything is right out there for the world to see. Leaders have never been so challenged to be obvious and vulnerable and intentional about the ways that they lead people. And then, as if the pandemic wasn't enough, suddenly we were engaged in racial tensions, things that had been building for years from systemic racism that's built into all of our systems. Frankly, if you don't believe it, you're probably not the right person to watch this video. But if you do believe it or you suspect it might be true, hang in there because we're going to talk about it. Whether the protests are peaceful or not, people are trying to be heard because when we've been quiet, nothing has really changed. Now, you might have noticed that I'm a baby boomer, so I've gone through racial unrest before this. Back in the 60s, when I was in my preteen and teenage years, things were going crazy in America, and here we are again. Each time, progress gets made, and yet there's so much left to do from hundreds of years of history. So as we step into a new world as leaders, we find that it is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Our people are dealing with these things day in and day out, the people that we work with. And there are ways to overcome it and handle it. Over the next couple of weeks, I'll also talk about 5 cancers that are just killing your company culture and making people not so happy about coming to work for you. And they are things like secrets and silos, rotten apples, company cogs, feeling like a cog in the wheel. And then the 2 biggest ones that are so important right now, feeling excluded, feeling like people's biases get in the way and that we form our tribe around us and we're either in or we're out. And lastly, if we look around the world today, how many of our leaders are do as I say, not as I do leaders? They tell us to do one thing and do something else themselves. It's not cool, and it's not going to last. And so as we move forward in leadership, we really need to think about how we manage those 5 cancers. Rather than go into the leadership model today, I'm just going to invite you to reach out if you want more information. Here's all my contact information. The fastest way to get to me is laurie@alignedатwork.com, or to check out our webpage and respond there. But over the next couple of weeks, we will be talking leadership. So come on back here to the Aligned at Work YouTube channel or social media, wherever you're seeing this. Get in touch and let's talk leadership. Thanks.